and he was talking about the situation in Oakland, which obviously is on a lot of people's minds.
You see what Bryce Harper said? Not
I
to cut
did
you off.
this morning. Yeah, I'm talking. He's a Las Vegas resident.
Yep.
Basically saying that he doesn't think it's right what's going on to Oakland. And
believes that Las Vegas should have to rebrand their team. And he says, I feel bad for A's fans. A's and their fans are so rooted in Oakland. Those fans bleed green. Now it's, hey, we're going to pick the A's and come to Vegas. I don't agree with that. Who cares what I think? It's my own opinion. But when you see a team like the A's, there's so much history at the Coliseum with all the great players they've had. In the last couple of years, it hasn't been the greatest. I get that. I totally understand. But do I believe they should leave Oakland because of that? No. They could be as good as anybody if they actually went in and did it.
Well,
those fans deserve that.
I think it's easy for Bryce Harper to say that. You know, I think it's very easy for Bryce Harper to say that. And what I would say is, Bryce, the A's, and we can argue about this, so don't be triggered. The A's are making the argument that they can't afford players like Bryce Harper because of their financial situation due to the fact that they don't have a good stadium.
Right.
Which, again, what happened first, the chicken or the egg, right? We don't know here, but like I find the irony in all of this, and I get it. He also played for a team that moved from Montreal and rebranded itself into being the Washington Nationals.
Yep.
So there's like layers to this one, you know? When we listen to Brett Boone talk, he referenced the early 90s and the rivalry between the Mariners and the A's. And I don't have a good feel for that rivalry, so it's tough for me to speak on it. But one of the things he said was there weren't a lot of people in the stands. And I think one of the things that a lot of people point to is, hey, you know, we used to draw really well. And that's true. It's factually correct. You did used to draw really well. But, like, our demographics have changed so much. San Francisco used to be a downtown work from the office area. COVID changed that, and I don't think it's going back. That doesn't mean that trends don't come back around in vogue. You see styles come back around. But to use the late 80s as an attendance marker for either team is foolish. I don't think the Giants are going back to the early 2000s
you
when
think
they opened
get back
Oracle.
3 million?
When they opened Oracle, it was packed every single night because of the novelty.
It was packed for basically 10 years.
I just don't think people have that kind of money anymore.
And then it was packed again in 2010 all the way through 2016, 17.
I agree, but our economy was different.
It is.
It was a lot different.
If the Giants start to go on a run here, and they're contending, and they're winning division titles or competing for them, they'll get $3 million back at the stadium. I believe they can have another run of $3 million plus over a 5.
But you better be really good.
You got to be really good, but you also got to have marketable players.
That I agree with.
You got to have stars.
Yes.
That's no doubt about that. You got to breed the stars. The Giants had stars. Lincecum was box office. Kane became box office. Buster Posey was a solid player. You had characters in Pablo and Hunter Pence, and you had the giraffe hats with Brandon Belt. You got to have a little bit of that to help. And the A's could have done that. They had the characters.
Well, but
they had the Tejadas. They had the Chavezes. They had the big three. They had dudes.
I keep going back to, like, we have to be real. Like, I live in San Francisco. You live just on the outsides. Joey lives in Oakland. Like, people are leaving the big cities.
They are.
I mean, let's just call it what it is.
And it's a transient market, right?
Exactly.
So if you get people here who are not born into the Bay Area sports teams, or they come from Chicago or New York or Philly or DC or whatever, they're not rooting for these teams. They're rooting for their team. So therefore, if they do go to a game, they're either going to go to a game to see their team in town, or they're just like, hey, you know what? Let's just go see a random team here and there. But they're not going to do it consistently. So to your point about the economy and what this market is, it has changed. There's not a lot of natives here.
No, and the other part of that is I think our viewing habits have changed. In the 90s, if you moved here, let's go. You moved here from Philly. You had nothing but to be a Giants or A's fan because that was what was on TV.
Yeah, there was no MLB league patches.
Now you can stream whoever you want. Our guy, Neighbor Dave, can watch every single Philadelphia 76ers, Phillies, Eagles game because of the way television's being streamed these days. You couldn't do that back then. So, like 2010, right, when the Giants started to hum from 2014, more people lived in the city. More people were working in the city, even though the financing wasn't great because we had the 2008 market crash and we were still recovering from those things. The demographics of how you lived your life were just dramatically different than what we are now. So I'm not saying that the Giants or the A's can't make it work and be, a packed house again. I'm just saying it's going to be very different.
Well,
in your business strategy moving forward, it's going to be very different.
Well, 2018, the Giants, quote unquote, had 3.1 million fans walk through the turnstile.
This was
2018.
2018.
And they won 73 games that year. The next year, they had 2.7 million. Those are monster numbers.
Oh, that's huge.
Those are monster numbers. Now, last year, 2022,
what'd they do?
2.4 paid fans. Now, was it 2.4 million? There was a lot of empty seats, but paid tickets, 2.4, nearly 2.5. But to your point about this, and I'll say this for myself, I like watching games at home a lot more than I do going to the stadium. And look, going to the game is a lot of fun. It's a great experience. But a lot of people are like, you know what? With everything going on outside the world, the danger, the lack of drivers, there's a lot of bad drivers out there.
Mm-hmm.
Getting into the game, the money that you spend at a game, the time you take away from the house. A lot of people like just to watch the game at home.
Yeah.
And so you may have the money, but you may say, you know what, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, I'm going to stay home because it's the all-day thing going to a baseball game or a football game or a basketball game.
Think about when Baby Chaz just gets a little bit older. You got, dance class or you've got, extra studying for school or whatever it is. And now you're going to pick up, have dinner early, or maybe go out to the ballpark and have dinner, and then you're going to, stay up till 10 o'clock at night, and then you're not going to get home till maybe 10:30. Like,
these are all-day events, man.
That's what I'm saying. I think our habits as a society are evolving. I'm not saying that it can't go back and it's not a fun place to be and that people won't want to go. What I'm saying is that old business models don't work.
Well, not only that, but you go to the game and it's the pricing of everything.
Yes.
Would you rather just eat out before you get to the game and drink, or do you want to go to the game and spend $14 on a beer? Like, sir, that's what we're talking.
It's expensive.
Crab sandwich is $20, and it's the best thing at the yard.
I know.
It's $20 a pop.
Well, and you got to wait.
Right.
X amount of minutes.
So you may miss an inning or two.
Exactly, which takes away from the experience. And so, I don't know. I think that's why you're seeing teams try to create unique packages to be quote-unquote season ticket holders. Here's an 8-game package. Here's a 16-game package.
Now I'll say this, though. But the most disappointing thing about the A's, though, because I understand everything you're saying, and I agree with you. I do. But the worst part about the A's situation is they didn't even try. John Fisher did not try to keep them in Oakland.
That I agree with.
He didn't try to see if it could work here with the stadium. He was looking for handouts.
Yes.
This facade about Howard Terminal, the facade about building around Laney College by Lake Merritt. Oh, that was a joke. He didn't really try. Go ahead, get in here, Spadoni.
I guess that's just why I'm having such a hard time with this, because I just know in my heart of hearts, if a guy like Joe Lacob owned this team, it would be successful. I would put my money on Joe Lacob to make this team. He would get it done. He would build it somewhere. He would make it successful. That's why it's just so frustrating to look at a guy like John Fisher, who just doesn't care, when we have the most caring owner across the Bay. We heard his speech yesterday. We heard him talking with Bob Myers. He wants to win. He wants to be involved. That's why it's just so crappy to see the juxtaposition of these two guys.
You see John Fisher yesterday at the MLB meetings in New York City. Somebody asked him for it. Cody goes, I got something to do. And he walks back into the lobby 5 minutes later with a cup of coffee, which I guess in essence he did have something to do.
Such a joke,
but it's just, you can't even give a quote. You can't even, so he's going to wait.
Did you expect anything else?
He's going to wait until get to Las Vegas to talk.
Yeah, and he's probably going to find some investors.
What a punk.
Can I ask you about this one? This is something, the older I get, it's the more frustrated I get. Nothing drives me crazier than circling around looking for parking at this day and age.
Well, I think the best way, it is the worst.
So, like,
parking, and it's expensive.
Well, no, I was going to get to that. One thing that I find to be very, I'm envious of people who live in the suburbs, because when they want to go get a haircut, when they want to go to a store, grab food, there's ample parking everywhere. Yeah. I go into Novato on my way up to the Russian River, and I drive in, and there's like parking lots galore.
Yeah.
And I know some people don't like parking lots, and I understand that, but it's a necessary thing that you have to have when you're dealing with older people, when you're dealing with a family. You want to be able to pull right up to a venue, open the door, and everybody get out. And I look at like just the parking situation in general around the stadium. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, it is a nightmare. And not only that, the pricing. And even if you park on the street, you got the meters, it's still about 40 to $45 a pop. And then you got to talk about the traffic leaving the stadium. We took Anna, Baby Chaz, and we took Caltrain. Now,
how was that?
So going in, we tried to take Caltrain, but the Caltrain was completely packed, so we couldn't get on. So basically, what we did,
So the doors opened, and then
the doors opened, and one of the guys came off. One of the Caltrain workers, hey, we can't let nobody on. It's too packed. So what we did was, all right, what did we do? Don't want to really drive.
Yeah.
Took an Uber into the park.
Okay.
$25. Okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
It's still cheaper than parking.
Yeah.
Uber drops us off a block away from the stadium.
So you're gonna walk
Perfect.
in. That's
Walk
not bad.
in.
Yeah.
Wasn't bad at all. And then on the way back, we got Caltrain. 20-minute Caltrain ride to where we needed to get the car, drive home. Actually, a more efficient way to go to the game.
Was Uber?
Was Uber and then Caltrain, or just take a Caltrain both ways.
I Ubered to Chase Center, and it's super easy.
It's not bad at all.
$20 either way. It's better than parking.
It's better than parking.
And to me,
and getting stuck in traffic.
I don't drink, but if people did and they wanted to enjoy themselves, it's much safer.
So that's why you got to take advantage of San Francisco being a good public transportation city with all the, Muni. And I know
Yes.
Muni gets a bad rap, but you get the T-Train, you get off at Chinatown, a new
Well, if I lived in the
Muni
Sunset
station downtown.
If I lived in the Sunset, taking the L all the way down to the game is not hard at all. It's not hard at all. Taking the N Judah is not hard at all. And then switching trains, like that's super simple and super easy. Where I'm at, it's a little more complicated. But yeah, I mean, there's no doubt.
Yeah, no
Muni
doubt.
can be very convenient. But I just look at all of these things. All these things that we're laying out, Bonte, are why it's difficult. Because to use what happened in the 80s and the 90s, it's
it's
a tough correlation.
But you also got to have an owner who cares.
No,
I could see one thing if the owner really tried.
Paramount. I
If
agree.
the owner was out in front saying, I want to get this done, don't you think it would have been important instead of having Dave Cavill, who's your assistant that you pay, you're basically your secretary.
Gideon Yu, who the Niners hired to build the stadium, got it done.
Got it done.
Say what you want.
You got it done.
Gideon Yu got it done. And
The
he
Warriors-
deserves a ton of credit.
Well, the Warriors got it done. They cared. That's the worst part about this situation. You have an owner who does not give a damn about you. That's the worst part. So all those things may be true. You may not be able to ever get $3 million people back into the game. You may not be able to get 2 million people. It may not be a 2-baseball town, a 2-baseball market.
But they didn't even
2-baseball team
try.
market.
That's the part
That's the problem.
Yes.
They didn't try because I do believe this could be a 2-team market. I do believe that. But they didn't even try to make it happen.
Don't you look at the San Diego Padres? If you're the A's, right? Don't you look at like a team like the San Diego Padres and go, God, they were so crap for so long. And then they got it all together. And finally, like obviously they built the stadium 15 years ago, I want to say. When you look, and they're having a down year, but when you look in their stands, it's packed.
Yep.
Because they've reinvested into their own team. To me, they're one of the model. I forget the Giants, because I know when you say, look at the Giants, A's fans get triggered. And I'm not trying to do that to them. But aren't the Padres kind of the template for a lot of these teams? Like you build the stadium, you do your best you can to develop your farm system, and when the time is right, boom, you strike while everything's hot.
And guess what? They're the only show in town.
Exactly.
So they embraced the Chargers
point.
leaving, and they have San Diego State down the road, but they're their only show in town. The A's had a chance to be the only show in town. You're gonna say the same thing, Spadoni. Just dominate the Oakland market. That was yours. You had all the taglines, right? Rooted in Oakland. We're here for you. We're not leaving. Get your green and gold caps. They basically lied in your face, and now they're on the way out. And that's why it's sad. When we go to that game in August, to the Giants-A's game, it'll be the last Babe Ruth series. And then I watched their pregame show yesterday and the postgame show, and I see Brody Brazil basically cry on air saying, I saw a kid at San Ramon with an A's hat. And he said he looked at that kid, and in 10 years, he knows that hat will be extinct. It'd be like the Montreal Expos. Oh, remember the Oakland A's back in the day? Remember we had the A's? We're going to be talking about that. Remember we had the Babe Ruth series and the Oakland A's? Remember the A's were in Oakland? Remember when the Raiders were in Oakland? And Brody was basically crying on air saying, my son is going to have to find a new baseball team. There's going to be an entire new generation of fans in the East Bay or whatnot who used to be A's fans who are going to be searching for a team, who are going to have to watch baseball saying, like Seattle with basketball.
Yeah.
Same thing. Sonics fans, I feel for them. So,
well, and
that sucks. To see Brody break down like that, to see Casey Pratt break down the way he's been breaking it down, that sucks, man.
well, let me